out sick today. So if everyone please stand and join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you everyone for attending this regularly scheduled board meeting of the South Tahoe Public Utility District. At this time, do we have any comments from the audience on non-agenda items? And seeing none, we will move on to the agenda or consent calendar. Does anybody have any corrections or discussion?
I move we adopt the agenda and the consent calendar.
I'll second that. Wow, did you give this thing a tune-up? That was fast.
I am on it.
that was good. See, now it's going slow.
I'm directing air traffic. That's not right.
And that passes 4-0. Thank you. Okay, I guess that moves us right on up to item 6A, Union Memorandum of Understanding.
Good afternoon. So I think the agenda item speaks for itself, but I did want to mention that Charlie Sold, the union business rep, wanted me to let the board know that they were very appreciative that the board was willing to work with them and that they had a unanimous vote in favor of the MOU. So
Good. Maybe there's anybody want to comment on this or discuss any further? I mean, we don't really need to discuss any further. We've been discussing it for months in closed session, but I didn't know, since we're on the record with the public now, if anybody had any comments.
No, I'll move we accept the union memorandum of understanding effective June 29th, 2017. So we approve that memorandum through to June 23, 2021.
I will second that also.
And that passes 4-0. 6B.
the management MOU, I also got a report that of the managers that voted for the contract, those that voted, it was also unanimous. So
I'll move that we approve management staff memorandum of understanding for the term of June 29th, 2017 through June 23, 2021.
Second.
Come on. Oh, it worked. I voted 3 times.
thank you very much.
Okay, and I'm just going to assume that passed 4-0. It did. Okay.
Oh, sorry, we saw it.
You saw it. You're privileged. I'm just going to add one comment on both those, because I know there's the this sometimes can be an issue with the public on our salaries and all that, and all I really wanted to say is I think the board took the negotiations very seriously, and I think everyone on the board, and feel free to tell me if I'm not speaking for the board, but I think if everyone on the board really kept in mind that we were the representatives of the ratepayers, and we like the employees, we know they deserve a good pay, but we also felt that we got the best deal we could possibly get for the ratepayers. So I don't know if anybody else.
Well, what I tell people when they say, oh, everybody's overpaid, I say, go stand knee deep in sewer at 3 in the morning in the middle of the winter and tell me how much pay you want. And so, and we believe that we have the best people. We believe we have the best people, period. And so it's just the hardest thing we do to balance what the public's telling us with what we know. And we appreciate the work everybody does more than anybody knows, especially this year. And we take pride in the people that work here. So that's it.
Okay. 2015 Luther Pass Power Control Project.
Good afternoon. I'm here to request that the board approve change order number 7 to Thomas Hayne Company in the amount $159,212.11. There are 3 items on this change order, and the one that I really wanted to talk to you about today is the bulk of the largest item on the change order, which is the rebuild of pump number 3 for the amount $97,849.72. During the power and control project, when we went to install and test motor number 3 at pump number 3, we found that we were drawing high amperage at that motor that was not allowing us to proceed with the testing. And after further inspection, we found considerable wear on the interior of the pump, which has been in service since the late 1960s. So after seeking prices from 3 different motor rehab firms, we received one from Martech, which is a company that has been working on this project for the duration under Thomas Hayne Company, and they have had the pump now for about 8 weeks, and during the course of their additional review of the condition of the interior of the pump, they came up with some other problems that also needed to be fixed. So we started with a much smaller price quote from them, and then they added to it, and now we're at the end of the road, and we expect that the pump is going to be returned to the district next week, fully rehabilitated. $100,000 ballpark is a lot of money, but a replacement for this pump would be on the order of $350,000 to $400,000. And so because we have a new pump number 4, which is the other 1,000 horsepower pump at the station, and we only ever run one 1,000 horsepower pump at a time, we feel that spending $100,000 so that we can bring this pump number 3 into working order as a backup is the most cost-effective way to move this station forward. So I'd like to answer any questions that you might have about this rehabilitation.
Must have hit the nail on the head. No one's quiet.
You brought up some things about pumps. I'll ask you after the meeting if you're around.
Sure, happy to.
Okay.
I get so amazed it's 150,000 versus 300.
And it's, I wouldn't feel comfortable operating without a backup motor on something that critical, so a backup pump, I should say. So, yeah.
Yeah, and what we intend to do from here forward for the rehabilitation of the remainder of the pumps at the station is once we get pump number 3 back in service and have it tested, then we will proceed with opening up the next pump of concern, which is one of the 2 700 horsepower. Where we are today with our 700 horsepower pumps out there is we have one that has been a low performer for many years but has been very reliable. It's not pumping on its curve, it's pumping low, so it's costing us a little bit more to move every gallon of water, but it has been very reliable. The other pump, over the course of the last 3 years as we've gone through this project, we've seen marked deterioration in the condition of the pump. It's required a lot more maintenance, and we've noticed that the vibrations and the temperatures, running temperature of the pump is creeping up. So while that one is pumping on its curve, we're worried about it. So our next move will be to open that pump up and take a look at the interior and follow the same process, get bids for a replacement pump for one of the 700s, and then refurbish the two existing 700 pumps, so that at the end of the day we'll have a suite of 3 operable pumps for the 2 positions. Because our firm capacity allows us to run 2 pumps at a time, we think we should have one on the shelf if one of the running pumps ultimately takes a dive. So that's kind of the long-range plan over the next couple of years to bring Luther Pass into a fully updated condition.
That's, well, I'll move that we approve change order number 7 to Thomas Hayne Company in the amount of $159,212.11.
Second.
Oh, yeah. On to the next item. Oops. Come on.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Julie. And that passes 4-0. Solar feasibility study.
So this one's mine. We, Jim and I, were at the Aqua Conference, and we saw a presentation by this firm, Sage Renewables, and entered into discussions with them after that meeting. And what they have proposed to do for us initially under this task order number 1 is to come in and take a look at potentially behind the meter solar system. So when we have looked at solar in the past, it has been a standalone solar project in which we would sell power back to Liberty Utilities. And when we do that, we are essentially, we're only able to get a return at the rate of the wholesale cost of electricity. With this project, what we would be doing is essentially getting a return at the retail rate, which is about triple what they would pay for wholesale. So they're proposing to come in, do an initial evaluation for the $2,500 that they've proposed for task number 1, to just see if this is feasible for us and what kind of return we could look at before, and if that shows that there is a potential return, and if the board chooses to do so, we can then go to the next step and do a much more detailed analysis and see if we want to move forward with that type of program here at the district. So with that, I'm requesting that the board approve task order number 1 with Sage Renewables in the amount of $2,500 to conduct a solar feasibility review.
You're just going to put it in front of the meter and basically get it
Well,
behind the meter,
yeah.
so you're getting the same cost as if you were paying for it.
Right. So what we would do is essentially consume the power we generate, we would consume it. And so we would be then getting a smaller bill from Liberty for what we purchase from them.
This may or may not go anywhere. It may turn out that it's not cost effective, but we don't know unless we look, do we?
Right. One of the things we like about this firm, Sage Renewables, is they're essentially a straight up consulting firm. They're not a solar provider. They don't have, they're not in bed with any of the solar cell manufacturers, and so they know the ins and outs of this industry. They know what the decay rate of solar panels are, how fast do they stop producing at their optimal rate, and so they factor all of that into their economic analysis.
They're a sole provider, aren't they, from Aqua?
They are a preferred provider from Aqua.
Yeah, preferred.
Yes.
Yeah, Aqua's already checked them
Has
out,
vetted
and
them.
they're been happy with what they've done. And I think it's a good idea that, well, let's look at it.
So,
There's a lot of new technology, and the costs are coming down. So
It's a $2,500 gamble, but it might pay off. We'll see.
Right.
Okay, do it.
I'll move that we approve The order number 1 was Sage Renewables to conduct this solar feasibility for $2,500.
I'll second that.
And that passes 4-0. Payment of claims. Wow, 2.4 million. Spending some money this meeting.
Okay, I'll move that we approve payment of claims in the amount of $366,464.63.
Second. And 4-0 again. Do we have any standing and ad hoc committee reports? I don't think there was really anything going on either.
In terms of ad hoc committee, our next meeting with the city council committee is the 14th, July 14th at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Friday.
Did I get an email on that?
I haven't sent one yet.
Okay, yeah, send one out if you would, please. That'd be great. Board member reports. Anybody have anything to discuss? All right, Jim, go ahead.
Just a short one. We had a phone conference meeting for the Forest Resiliency Subcommittee of Aqua, and some interesting things happened. A bill on forest health actually passed the House a week ago, and the next step is the Senate, and they're fairly confident there. And it's doesn't have everything that Aqua wanted, but it said it's so far ahead of whatever we've had before that they're fully supporting it, and hopefully that'll get approved, and there'll be some money and more direction for the agency, the Forest Service and BLM on forest management.
What you think of Bigelow's letter condemning the state's lack of action in the same on the
budget?
subject?
On the budget?
On the budget,
Yeah.
yeah. Did you read that?
I didn't see that.
Yeah,
Where was this?
Curious what you thought.
Where was this?
It was, where did I read that?
Is it the Lake Town News?
Lake Town News, I believe I read it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Kind
No.
of an editorial.
He basically was criticizing given the state of our forests and the number of dead trees in the state, the fact that the state budget didn't really even address that, other than what they did the year before.
Oh, okay. Well, we're losing about 1 million trees a week, and that's going to continue even though we had a good winter. There's already so many trees that are weakened and susceptible to the bugs.
I know, I just had 11 of them taken out of my yard.
That we need to be doing it around the city. The
I
city needs.
didn't get a grant either.
If you don't
You
do
get a
it,
permit?
No, you don't need a permit if they're standing dead.
Oh, okay.
if you don't do it, nature does.
Yeah.
You don't tend the forest, fire does. I just had a quick one. I found out that, well, I don't know where I read it, but the casinos are going to stop having people to be able to park at the casinos free.
Weekends and holidays.
Weekends, holidays, and busy weekends. So when the loop road goes in and there's no parking, because that was their plan, was to have people park in the parking garage and at the Heavenly Village and over at the casinos, we're gonna have a harder time. So, just a further point.
I guess the city will start making more money on their parking garage, right?
Yeah.
Okay, any other board member reports? Dwayne, what's going on with the El Dorado County Water Agency purveyor?
They canceled the meeting,
Canceled the July 12th meeting.
Okay.
so that's all I've got.
Next one will be here.
That's right.
August.
The August meeting is always at the district. Well, it has been for a number of years, so it's August 9th, right here at 10 o'clock. So.
It might be nice for the other board members to be here.
When
There's
would
3
you say
county
that is? 10 in the
supervisors.
morning?
August 9th at 10 o'clock in the morning.
There's 3 county supervisors, and if they see how professionally we do things. I think it'll help us if we had some issue before the county supervisors. It's nice to have put a face with a name prior to, you know.
Then we can bring up the Blackburn Road right away.
What, are we having issues over there?
We own that. That's our issue. That's part of the ERB property. Actually, that's Black Park Road. We have not. We initiated initially to do a transfer to the county probably 2 years ago, and then we got some other things. And now that, quite honestly, the fire station issue is being looked at for that property, we're reinitiating that conversation to get that resolved and actually transfer.
I think that was a good directive. I think it'd be nice to clean that up. So. All right. Speaking of your boss,
Yeah, just
you're up
a
next.
few items. On the public outreach, I was put on the local TV, basically giving people a heads up on the projects coming, the meters. And then I have another appearance Monday to be filmed, to be shown all next week in the evening. And I'll be talking about the startup of our metering project so people know it's coming. And in addition, we just got news of the Pro Pipe project. Now it's been put up, but I can talk about the fact that in the 24th, 25th, 26th of July, and we'll hear more about it under the Tahoe item below. But Pro Pipe will be back through those liners, and so we'll be giving people some heads up on we'll be back, but only for a couple of days rather than 2 months, So that's a plus. Just a quick comment, our influent flow at the plant on the 4th was 5.15 million gallons, and that's basically right on about the typical for the last 10 years. So we had a kind of an average flow, not surprising since it was on a Tuesday. Yeah, well, it was busy, but people can't hide, when it comes to flushing toilets and taking showers. So it was a kind of a typical, and not surprising given it being a Tuesday, as opposed to a Saturday or a Friday, or extending a solid 3-day weekend. We did. Melanie did have a conversation talking about the solar power with Bonnie, who had come before you. So we've engaged. We'll plan on having at some point in the next couple of weeks, probably a meeting with her, just to talk about. And I think really from what her conversation with Melanie, she doesn't really have any specific suggestions or projects to put forward, but I think they want our engagement in the city's efforts to do 100% recyclable energy by 2032. So we'll.
And you can point her to what we just approved.
They've heard about that. They're very interested in seeing what the results of our engagement of this solar consultant will bring forward. But like I say, we'll make the effort and see if any, ferret out any ideas that might come of it. We're not too anxious to be involved in being a member of this committee, unless it's just like with solar project, even if it's identified, it's got to go on our priority list, and we got to figure out how we can get it done, what staff will be involved, et cetera, et cetera. So, it's not that we don't want to be green energy or correct, but we do have our priorities and our limits of what we can accomplish. So it'll have to be fit into the program. And then before I turn it over to the staff reports, I wanted to mention one more thing. And heads up to Paul Hughes. He passed his Special District Administrator Certification exam last month from the California CSDA, Special District Association, and it was through the Special District Leadership Foundation. So we have an expert amongst our.
Usually if you circle C, you get a pretty good grade.
We have an expert. Yeah. So we have an expert among us.
So I expect a much higher job performance out of you now with all this newfound knowledge.
He just circled C.
I don't think so.
Well, in addition to that, he's also gone through the Aqua leadership training process, which is kind of important.
So I guess he thinks he's the front runner for Richard's job. Is that what that means?
Or else he just wants a raise.
Boy, we're mean today.
Yeah.
We meaning me.
Oh, I was kind of being a little bit.
Well, all joking aside, congratulations. That's we're glad to see you're moving ahead with your increasing your value to the district every month.
Richard, did you want to say anything about that state tax for water
Yeah.
connections?
The AB 401.
Is
Yeah. I think Shannon can do more.
Oh.
He's planning on going to the state meeting on Monday with John Mills. You know John Mills. He's also down there representing a lot of the Mountain County agencies, and there's a lot of concerns with it. So maybe Shannon can speak more details.
Sure. Last year, the legislature in their had which essentially directs the state water board to evaluate statewide programs for low-income rates programs. And what they had boiled down to, so far they've done a series of events across the state, and they have commissioned UCLA to do an analysis and study how you might implement such a program. What they've essentially come out with is a duplicate of what is done on the power side of the utilities. Their utility companies care program, they use a statewide program which other utilities participate in. And it also is somewhat mirroring our program, our local rate assistance program. And there are 4 proposals on the table from the water board at this point. Essentially, if you make your income is less than 200% of the federal poverty level, then you would qualify for what amounts to probably a 20% discount on water rates, and that would account for about 34% of the population of California. 34% of the households in California qualify for that rate subsidy. And they have 4 different scenarios and how they would employ that. One of the big questions that is unanswered at this point is how are you going to pay for all that? Well, we're certainly talking about millions, not hundreds of millions of dollars across the state. And what do those programs look like? Who's going to manage and monitor and implement those programs? What we hear from back channels from Aqua is that what they're proposing is what's being proposed in the background, not overtly at this point, but what's being proposed is impact on water, or a fee on water, a public goods charge that we would be, basically, we would have to pay the state, and the state would turn around and pay us back to subsidize some of our rate there. And certainly, we would be paying the state a heck of a lot more than we would be subsidizing our customers. And so it has obviously raises great concern for us and for, I think, the state and for all the water agencies. One of the issues is it is not viewed as a very politically tenable position to come out and say we are against subsidizing poor people having water or providing water to poor farmers. And so Aqua, in particular, is walking some fine lines, saying we're not opposed to supporting we're not opposed to supporting the low-income subsidy for folks. We're very concerned about how you're going to pay for that, and trying to get them away from a public goods charge and keep them focused on generating that revenue from the general fund via some sort of tax. So there's definitely some political line walking going on. I'm planning to go down and hear one of these presentations on Monday and provide comments about what the impact would be to our district. We've done some very preliminary analysis based on old census data, which would reflect that 38.5% of our water customers, or our customers in general, would qualify for such a program at those rates. And what that would do to us is somewhere on the water side, that's over $700,000 cost that would come out of the revenue of the district if we were paying that directly, if we were So considerable cost, $700,000 a year, and how that's going to impact us going forward, what the structure of this program is going to be, is very concerning. I don't want to say it's the bright spot, but the next place where this goes is the water board develops a proposed program and it presents that back to the legislature. The legislature is going to have to act on that. That will have another opportunity to influence the outcome of that. What we're hearing from other people who have been very engaged in this is that the water board has pretty much made up their mind this is what they're going to put forward to the legislature, regardless of whatever comments they're hearing back from us and other water agencies.
Why does that not surprise
They
you?
are talking about a fee, isn't it, per connection of $10 a month?
How they're going to pay for it
Yeah.
it's not required in the legislation that they provide that information back to the legislature. But that's what's being talked about in the background. When you ask the state water board about how you would pay for that, publicly, I don't believe that they're stating officially what their position is. From what we were hearing from other meetings is that that's something.
That works out to about 1.8 million a year for us.
Yeah, it's.
So it's big.
I don't understand. The only thing I understand about this is why Aqua would think they have to walk some kind of a line. This is ridiculous. To take that kind of money out of the system, send it to Sacramento, let them chew it through their inefficiencies and spit back pennies on the dollar is ridiculous.
The reason that they're being somewhat tentative about it is because they don't want to be shown as being in opposition to supporting those who are under the poverty level and providing, helping to provide water to those people.
I get it, but a bad solution to a problem is not a solution.
And they are fighting very hard.
It's also to provide water to communities that don't have any sources now, that their water wells are, they can't pump anymore down the valley, things like that.
Hey, we got a whole bunch running out of Tahoe. They're welcome to it.
Yeah. But that could be a pretty big hit on us, either the 700,000 based on the formula or $10 per month.
It would be more efficient if they just mandated it and we just did it within the district.
That's exactly what they've done to the power industry. That's what they do. Money doesn't go to Sacramento. The money.
I mean, if they basically want us to redistribute wealth, let's do it in-house instead of going through Sacramento, which will,
right now. What's in our administrative code and what we have, our low-income rate assistance program is essentially based on the power industry model, and really what they're talking about here. What we do, however, is limited to property owners. Only property owners who are basically owner-occupied residents, or owner-occupying customers of ours, those are the only folks who are eligible for this subsidy under our rate.
as opposed to their program would be every customer. But in my experience, almost all landlords pay SDPUD bills, not the tenants. So why would it?
That's the devil in the details.
Yeah.
When you have an apartment complex and not every one of those apartments is metered, how would that work out?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer.
Or even just a regular landlord situation. Landlord's paying it, so who's the money go to then? The guy paying the bill or the person living there? I don't know. I'm glad those folks in Sacramento got what we need in South Lake Tahoe all figured out. Okay, how about something more interesting like Fallen Leaf Lake vacuum valve system?
Good afternoon. We have an old new face to look at. I'm up here to talk about Fallen Leaf Lake, vacuum valve station 4, and then the keys. But I'd like to preface those remarks by saying thank you to the board from the shop stewards and the union for the contract we have now for 4 years. Thank Richard, Shannon, Paul, and Nancy also as the district negotiating team. And thanks to all around. So now we'll go on to vacuum valve 4. Bill's pump crew finished the plumbing and installing the pumps yesterday. I talked to Jared and the electricians this morning. They were going out to set the panel and pull wire. And Jared was very optimistic by early next week we should be pumping through our new electric station. And when that's complete and everything's okay, we'll go out and finish the beach, raking that, making that look like we were never there. So that's what we have going on at Fallen Leaf Lake.
Can I ask one question?
You bet.
How long were you out there on the flood?
Well, I got a call at 1:30, yeah, so after 2, I fell for stayed till 10 o'clock. I got a call from one of my guys who was driving, so the alarm's coming in every 4 hours, and Jeff and I can't handle it. There's too many people in town, they have too much else to do. So if you can get somebody out there to camp out there, and I said, well, I guess I'll So I just had to kind of park there and pump down once an hour and talk to a whole lot of people walking by. So I gave you your card, Jen.
And I want to say thank you for coming in on the holiday and taking care of us so we didn't spill in fall.
I missed out the first part of that project, as you know, so I felt like I had to do it. And I was even thinking of sleeping at the shop that night, too.
Did you have some practice? Again, I just want to point that out. That's what we were trying to avoid, quite honestly, but like the project, unfortunately, it's taken us longer to get it done than we had hoped, but we're very close to getting it
Yes.
completed. It's a very complicated project. Hats off to all the crews, to the underground repair sewer crews, to the pumps crews, electricians, everybody pulling together and chipping away at this thing to get it done. I really appreciate it, and the fact that we haven't had to go out there is testament to the work that you guys have done. Thank you.
So how bad was the drive out there on the 4th of July?
It was horrendous.
Yeah.
Never heard of road rage.
Yeah.
Directed at you or from you? Okay.
Probably both.
Probably both. All right.
Okay, then Tahoe Keys. We had tentatively set a date that we were hoping to start was going to be next Monday. The product is not ready. I talked to Steve Powers from ProPipe tonight, or this morning. He assured me it'll probably be done next week, so we decided on the 24th. The product will arrive at the district via a refrigeration truck, be transferred into a ProPipe refrigeration truck, and we will start on Tuesday, the 25th. Usually when they do, I talked to Steve a little bit this morning, when they do this process, it takes their people about 3 hours to set everything up, about an hour to pull the product into the line, and then 4 to 6 hours for the product to cure, and they use hot water to cure the product. So during this time, we'll be doing the plugging and the up around bypass, which is going to be quite extensive, especially when you go from the intersection of Keys, that 90 feet, to the #1 manhole that pumped to the pump station. We'll be setting up, we should have a traffic control plan to go to the city with on Monday. And we've already talked to Melanie about helping with some publicity to get out there. Those few days, it's going to be quite a boondoggle around there with traffic control to get people through Keys and Venice. So to minimize and coordinate everything we can.
They've already had 2 months of practice.
That's what.
We actually have the manhole is at the intersection that we cannot we have to work around the manhole, the intersection of Keith and Venice.
Oh, it's right there in the middle.
So we
Yeah,
gotta
okay.
go up Tahoe Keith Boulevard towards 50, and we gotta start pumping from that manhole into the wet well, and then out on both sides of Venice, we gotta pump. So in my mind, the day that we're gonna do it, that intersection is gonna be a disaster. We're not gonna allow, we're gonna propose to the city that we don't allow you to come down Tahoe Keith Boulevard and take a left, basically onto Venice. We're gonna try to close that ability off of that intersection because we gotta get sewage from manhole on Keith Boulevard into the pump station.
So you're going to try and divert the traffic over on 15th Street?
You have to send it all the way
Put
around.
signs?
Encourage people to do that, but you can come in, you could potentially come down, take a right onto Venice, and then go through that parking lot to get around our infrastructure. So there is a
I'm sure the businesses there will
But how
appreciate
about going
that.
west in on Venice Boulevard? Is that going to be a problem?
What we're proposing is you would be able to go.
Would be able to go that way, okay.
Because what we would do is put it on, divert both lanes of traffic on one lane. As you're coming from Highway 50, the left of that median, I think there's enough room there to connect two lanes of traffic, running very slow down. So it's not going to be pretty, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot of folks calling about it, but there's not a, we got to get in there. We basically have to isolate that man.
Work maybe to put a sign up for people to encourage them to use 15th Street?
Yeah.
I think it will be our, I don't know, our
Probably a week ahead of time, notifying of what's coming up. Yeah.
And the good news, it's only going to be
we think
a
it's gonna be
day.
We think
Yeah.
we should be out of there today.
And then we'll move down to do the other one.
And the alternative is to not do it and have it be tied up for months when the thing
Yeah,
fails.
collapse.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And nothing proposed that we do that, not do anything, just let it fail, right?
No, not at this point in time. So if there's no other questions, I'm done.
Well, thanks. Diamond Valley Ranch, right?
And next up, Jim Hilton has actually had his been meeting this afternoon, so I'll give a brief update on the site and on down the Diamond Valley Ranch. As we've discussed before, that site that had a leak in it, we had a spill there. The plan at this point, because we have two parallel pipes, is currently the pipe that has the leak in it is plugged off, plugs on either end. Our intention is to do as a temporary repair on that pipe in the coming week and still keep that line isolated. We'll use it if we need it, but we'll leave it out of service until probably we'll go in and do this temporary fix, keep that pipe isolated, and then next year we will, as we go into next year, we will bid probably another profile type lining of that whole line so that we can put it back in service then. It will be there as a backup for us in the event that we need it, because we will have fixed it where the leak is, but we're not planning to put it into service until we get the permanent repair next year, and we expect that to be cheaper if we go through a full bid process. That's what we're saying. Is Karen here to talk about that? There he is. I'm behind us. Unless anybody had any questions about that,
No. Good afternoon. As I mentioned at a board meeting several months back, the state changed our water permit to require us to provide lead sampling and testing at all K through 12 schools in the Lake Tahoe Unified School District. This is in response to what happened in Flint. But in April, the lab met with the school district and we identified 40 sites throughout the 8 schools that were heavily used. You know, kitchen sinks, multi-purpose room faucets, things of that nature. In April, we also collected a total of 40 samples, and of those 40, only one was above the action limit of 15 parts per billion. And that was at the Tahoe Valley multi-purpose room faucet, drinking water faucet. All the others were either non-detect or way below the limit. There were 2 other
kitchens, actually all the kitchens, the elementary school kitchens and the middle school kitchen, they actually had hits of lead, but very low levels. So because of that, the school notified all the kitchen staff to flush the kitchen sinks for about 10 seconds prior to using them in the morning. That's the idea of getting the water to flush out any lead that might be, had leached over the night. The one faucet that was over the limit, that was at the Tahoe Boys and Girls, that was at the Tahoe Valley multi-purpose room faucet. It was 32 parts per billion, the limit being 15. So a repeat sample showed that to be a true value. And so they immediately isolated that faucet. And as of today, they're actually going out trying to figure out where that lead is coming from. They're going to do multiple samples to see if it's from the fixture itself, the piping in between the water main and the faucet itself. So they'll have that figured out by the end of July. And they hope to have all the kitchen faucets replaced in 2017, before school starts in 2017.
So they think it's the faucets.
Generally, it's the faucet, but they don't know. And so that's why they want to do multiple samples from where the water comes in. That school is actually provided, the water from that is from their own well. And in fact, although we didn't have to, we sampled Tahoe Valley School, which is on Lukens, the middle school, and Tahoe School. Those are either on their own well or on a different water system. Anyway, Lake Tahoe Unified School District notified the parents through an email of what the results were. They posted the results on their website, and we're going to modify our website to have a link to the school's posting of the results with an explanation of what was found. Thank you.
So just appreciating the State Water Board, they had the suggested language and that they had given the school districts was sort of implied that it was the testing of the lead at the schools was free. In actual fact, it was done at the cost of the water districts in those communities.
Free to them.
Free to them, the cost to our ratepayers and ratepayers of all the other water districts in the state of California. So the State Water Board didn't provide anything other than changing the permits, as Terry started the discussion.
That's encouraging. I mean, I wouldn't have expected us to really have any lead anywhere in the system, and it probably is localized to the plumbing fixtures.
In we test our wells annually, and none of them have ever shown any lead. It all comes from either the solder or the faucets themselves.
That's good.
Terry, did you find out anything about the silver iodide? You got any more information on that?
Excuse me?
The silver iodide issue.
Oh yeah, we found a lab that will test for iodide, but I would imagine that the main component that would cause toxicity would be the silver. We have tested our wells always every year for silver, and it's always non-detect.
You test in the summer, aren't you?
Yeah, we've already tested 6 of them, and they showed non-detect for silver. And then we do about 6 for each of the 3 months of the summer. So by September, we'll have had all the results from all our drinking water wells on silver. And we'll see. The problem with doing the bromide, it's a separate test, but its detection limit is down to around, I think, 5 milligrams per liter. And for silver, we're going down to 0.5 parts per billion, a magnitude lower. So silver is really the one to test for.
People are saying that I don't know if it's true, that it somehow gives them allergies and things like that.
You can give me the results. Just the copy that shows non-detect.
Oh yes.
At a half a part per billion, I'm not real.
Now the other thing is silver is put on the. I'm not sure if it's silver iodide or another component, but that's what's put on your charcoal filters in your sink to take out the chlorine.
Silver's used as an antibacterial.
Yeah,
During the Middle Ages, that's why they thought some of the wealthy people survived the Black Plague, because they had true silver water that they used to eat off of, and so the silver was an antibacterial for them, whereas the poor people didn't have silver to
eat with. So
That's the first time I ever heard that.
yeah.
Swallow a dime.
Okay, Shannon, I hear you're running for something.
Yes. So in 2015, I ran for the Aqua Region 3 board, and you all graciously passed a resolution to support that. And one of the members on the board, the previous chair, was an elected official. He was not reelected, and so there was a vacancy, and I have been sitting in the vice chair position for the Region 3 board for the past year, or really since, I guess, less than that, since November. And so it's election time again for Aqua, and so I have resubmitted an application to run for that Region 3 board again, using the past resolution that you passed, and also with that have also put my name in again for the vice chair of the region board. The thing that this does for us, in my mind, is I have a seat then on the Aqua board, and so it allows us to have some more influence on what's happening with Aqua at the state level. So unless anybody has, if anyone would like me not to run for that, I could not go to those meetings.
Are you begging? Are you begging us?
I'm not. I'm choosing not to. It wouldn't kill me not to attend those meetings, but I think it is. I think there is value for the district because we do have that additional influence.
And actually, it's concurrent with the Aqua meetings. You're going to be there anyway, right? So it's
Yes,
not
with
like
the
you're
conferences.
missing your more time from work. So
Right.
more
Well,
power to you. We appreciate
there
it.
are twice a year, I think. There are, well, maybe it's more frequently than that. It's every third month. So there are board meetings, the Aqua board meetings. I do attend those. Everything else I do by phone conference.
How often did you say?
It's every 3 months they have a meeting, every quarter. So, hearing no further comments.
Yeah, you can move on to
I think it's good.
The next issue up is water conservation regulation update, and we've kind of given a running progress report as this has gone along. Just to refresh your memory, right now there's a budget trailer bill that is out that is still in play, I'll say, that has come from the administration to institute two things. One is revisions to the Urban Water Management Program, the Urban Water Management Plan Program, and to institute permanent water conservation requirements within the state and give the State Water Board the authority to set what those water conservation targets are on an ongoing basis. The issues with the Urban Water Management Plan, those are still going forward. Aqua drafted a proposed legislation which is carried by Assemblymember Rubio and another legislator, I'm trying to remember the name, it might be Friedman, I think, has also drafted legislation which supports, is another is the language of the budget trailer bill on the urban water management side. Those two bills are going forward, and we will see what comes out of those two alternatives for the legislature. Neither one of those, I think, it really has a very detrimental impact on our district because it's about drought preparedness and things that we are very capable of doing. It increases some reporting requirements, none of which are going to be overly difficult for us to meet. So those are not issues that we're engaged in and fighting about. The issues that we are very concerned about is on the permanent water conservation side. Again, Friedman and Rubio put forth bills as well as that budget trailer bill, and the two policy bills by Rubio and Friedman have been put in suspense, and Assemblymember Garcia created a panel which is looking at of legislators, which is looking at how to consolidate those two bills or consolidate those bills with the budget trailer bill and come up with a something that is more palatable for the other legislators to be able to pass with respect to these permanent water conservation regulations. Aqua is meeting with that commission or that board or that panel, and Aqua has drafted a markup of the budget trailer bill and submitted that to them, and is of course engaged in conversations with both legislators and staff to get that bill along the lines of what we're looking for, which is the Rubio bill, which doesn't give the authority. The key piece in my mind it does not give the authority to the State Water Board to set conservation targets in the future. That responsibility would remain with the legislatures. They would have to pass legislation in order to change these conservation regulations.
And isn't Frank Bigelow on that committee?
He is on that committee.
So Shannon's been down to his office already, talking to his staff and stuff about our position.
He supports the Rubio bill. He supports this approach. Certainly, we would like none of this to happen. That would be great. But the reality is, with the Brown administration, that something's going to happen. So we're just trying to get it tailored and as least damaging as we possibly can.
Yeah, situation normal when dealing with the state.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have anything else that's not on my list here? That being said, you can see what we have upcoming. Gary is very disappointed. There's no closed session for anything today. So with that, meeting adjourned.